Sometimes, a billion-dollar empire starts with nothing more than a joke. But not just any joke, a joke stitched into history. This is the story of René Lacoste, a tennis legend who took a playful nickname and turned it into one of the most recognizable luxury brands on the planet. It all started with a crocodile, drawn as a joke, worn as a statement, and transformed into a fashion empire. But how did a simple reptile on a shirt become a global status symbol? And why did a world-class athlete decide to build a fashion empire instead of just racking up trophies? The answer begins with a suitcase, a tennis racket, and a bet that René Lacoste couldn't afford to lose. Some people are born into wealth and luxury, expected to follow a predetermined path. But René Lacoste? He had other plans. Born on July 2nd, 1904 in Paris, France, René Lacoste was the only child of wealthy parents, Jean-Marie Magdalene Lariolet and Jean-Jules Lacoste. His father, a successful businessman, wanted René to follow in his footsteps, but René had fallen in love with a sport he barely knew. At just 15, a trip to England introduced him to the game that would change his life: tennis. Obsessed, he picked up a racket and never looked back. But there was one problem: he wasn't particularly good. In a sport dominated by the best of the best, René was just another rich kid with a dream. But as the only child of a successful businessman, Jean-Jules Lacoste frowned at the idea of his son pursuing a tennis career. To him, tennis was a pastime, not a career. So he made a deal with René. He could follow his passion, but only if he became a world champion within 5 years. It was a challenge, a test of determination, and René accepted, driven to prove himself to his father. For 3 years, René trained obsessively, pushing himself beyond his limits. In 1922, he entered his first major competition, Wimbledon. It was a disaster. He lost in the first round to Pat O'Hara Wood. Humiliated but not broken, he tried again the next year, this time in the US National Championship. Luckily, this game was a little better than his last, as he made it to the 4th round before being eliminated. Progress, but not enough. René refused to accept defeat. He trained harder, perfected his technique, and by 1923 he was selected for France's Davis Cup team. It was here that René met 3 players who would change his life: Jacques Brugnon, Henri Cochet, and Jean Barotra. Together they became the most feared tennis team of their time, earning the legendary nickname the Four Musketeers. By 1925, René had his first breakthrough, reaching the Wimbledon finals, only to fall short against his own teammate Jean Barotra. But René wasn't the kind of man to lose twice to the same opponent. Later that year, at the French Championships, he faced Barotra again. This time, he won. It was a major victory, bringing him closer to fulfilling the promise he made to his father. Determined to push further, he intensified his training. By September 1926, he competed in the US National Championship, once again meeting Barotra in the final. René defeated him to claim the title and was ranked #1 in the world by the Daily Telegraph. He had done it, proven that he wasn't just a wealthy kid playing tennis. He was a champion, but little did he know, his biggest victory wasn't on the court, it was on his shirt. In 1923, the French Davis Cup team traveled to Boston to face the Australians. While there, René spotted a beautiful crocodile leather suitcase in a shop window. His captain noticed René's interest and made an unusual wager. Win your match and the suitcase is yours. The round against the Australians did not go well. René lost the match. He never got the suitcase, but what he walked away with was far more valuable. American journalists, fascinated by his relentless playing style, began calling him the Crocodile. The name stuck, and René, he embraced it. Back in France, he took the nickname to heart. He had his friend, artist Robert George, sketch a small crocodile, which he then embroidered onto his white tennis jacket. It was more than just a nickname, it was a statement. When he wore it to matches, fans went wild. It was bold, it was stylish, it was uniquely René. At first, the crocodile was just a personal branding. But as René's fame grew, so did the curiosity around the emblem. People didn't just want to watch René play, they wanted to wear the crocodile. And René saw an opportunity where others saw only a joke. Traditional tennis attire at the time was stiff and impractical, long-sleeved button-up shirts that restricted movement. René, always one to innovate, decided to change that. He designed something better, a lightweight short-sleeved polo shirt made from breathable petit-piqué cotton. It was a game-changer. René's personal life was flourishing alongside his innovations. In 1930, he married golfing champion Simone de la Chaume. They were the power couple of sports. While Simone was changing the face of women's golf, René continued to make his mark both on and off the tennis court. His baseline playing style, exceptional passing shots, and lethal backhand slice had made him famous, but his fashion sense would make him immortal. By 1933, René had teamed up with André Gillier, owner of France's largest knitwear manufacturer. Together, they mass-produced the polo shirt, complete with the now iconic crocodile logo on the chest. It was the first time in history that a logo was prominently displayed on clothing, a marketing move that would later become standard practice in fashion. The company was officially registered as La Société Chemise Lacoste, with René as its ambassador. What began as a joke about a lost bet had transformed into a brand. But it was still just a tennis brand. What happened next would transform it into a global empire. By the 1950s, Lacoste had already established itself as a staple in European tennis. But there was one major hurdle. The brand had no license to sell in the United States, the largest consumer market in the world. René needed a way in. So, in 1950, he struck a brilliant deal with an American company, Izod. Together, they launched a sub-brand, Izod Lacoste. The shirts, originally sold only in white, now exploded in a rainbow of colors, perfectly timed with America's post-war optimism. The American market embraced the crocodile with open arms. Soon, Lacoste shirts became the unofficial uniform of country clubs and college campuses across the nation. The preppy look was born, and at its heart was a small green reptile. Success breeds competition. In 1977, a rival brand called Le Tigre emerged, offering similar comfortable sportswear, but with a tiger logo instead of René's crocodile. It was a direct challenge, as Le Tigre tried to claw its way to the top. But Lacoste's reputation was already too firmly established. The crocodile remained king of the preppy jungle. René often credited the success of his brand to his unusual choice of mascot. Everyone remembers a crocodile, he would say. And he was right. Lacoste pioneered the concept of visible logos on clothing, starting a fashion revolution that continues to this day. But René's innovation didn't stop with clothing. Even after retiring from professional tennis in 1932 due to health issues, his passion for the sport remained. In the 1960s, he designed an unprecedented steel tennis racket that gave players more power and precision than traditional wooden models. American tennis legends Billie Jean King and Jimmy Connors adopted René's design, bringing the crocodile back to the courts where it had first been born. With this move, Lacoste expanded beyond sportswear into sports equipment. In 1964, René passed the torch to his son, Bernard Lacoste. Under Bernard's leadership, the partnership with Izod continued to flourish, though it came with an unexpected side effect. By the 1970s and 80s, American teenagers were simply calling the shirts Izods instead of Lacoste. The crocodile was in danger of losing its identity. The turning point came in 1993, when Izod faced financial troubles. Bernard saw an opportunity rather than a crisis. Lacoste terminated the partnership and reclaimed exclusive US rights to distribute products under its own name. It was a bold move that would prove crucial for the brand's future. Meanwhile, the crocodile was spreading its territory. In the late 1960s, Lacoste released its first fragrance, collaborating with legendary French perfumer Jean Patou. By 1978, they had stepped into the accessory market with a line of elegant sunglasses. Lacoste wasn't just a brand anymore, it was becoming a lifestyle. But how did a tennis player's joke evolve into the global luxury empire we know today? Today, Lacoste stands as a billion-dollar empire recognized worldwide. But the journey from tennis courts to global fashion domination hasn't always been smooth sailing. In 1980, the brand faced its first major identity crisis when Crocodile Garments registered a suspiciously similar logo for its Hong Kong-based sportswear company. This was just the beginning of the logo wars. Lacoste soon found itself embroiled in a 20-year legal battle with Singapore's Crocodile International, a fight that ultimately ended in the latter's favor. Bernard Lacoste realized the company needed fresh management to protect its identity and propel the brand forward. But before these changes could fully take effect, tragedy struck. On October 12, 1996, René Lacoste, the original crocodile, died at 92 years old. The company mourned its founder while looking forward to an uncertain future. The 1990s presented another challenge: overexposure. The brand that once represented exclusivity and class had become too accessible. The crocodile was everywhere, and with this came a loss of prestige. Lacoste had fallen out of fashion's favor, but the early 2000s marked a dramatic comeback. Understanding the brand desperately needed reinvention, Bernard brought in creative manager Christophe Lemaire in 2000 to craft a more modern, upscale identity. This decision catapulted Lacoste to new heights in the luxury fashion world. By 2005, sales had tripled, with nearly 50 million Lacoste products sold across 110 countries. Under this new administration, the crocodile expanded its territory far beyond shirts. Lacoste ventured into footwear in partnership with British group Pentland. They launched their first leather goods collections in 1981, collaborating with Maison Amon for belts and Sogedi for luggage and sports bags. Soon, the brand encompassed perfumes, watches, eyewear, towels, underwear, and loungewear, each product maintaining Lacoste's signature quality. The brand's visibility soared through strategic marketing partnerships with tennis stars, including Andy Roddick, John Isner, Richard Gasquet, and Olympic gold medalist Stanislav Wawrinka. Lacoste also strengthened its presence in the golf world, bringing the crocodile back to green courses worldwide. The joke brand had found a way to crocodile its way to the top. In 2005, Bernard Lacoste became very ill, which led him to transfer the presidency of Lacoste to his younger brother, Michel Lacoste, who had worked closely with him for years. Bernard, however, died in Paris on 21st of March 2006. This was another tragic loss for the company. Years after Michel took over the company, Lacoste began licensing its trademark to various companies, but that decision changed in a few years. Although Lacoste shirts are manufactured under license in Thailand and China, Devonlay owned exclusive rights to Lacoste worldwide until recently, further popularizing the brand. In 2006, Lacoste took luxury to dazzling new heights by releasing a 24-karat gold-plated crocodile polo. This wasn't just fashion, it was a bold declaration of the brand's prestige. The embroidered logo, reimagined in pure gold, transformed a simple polo into a collector's masterpiece, symbolizing Lacoste's evolution from a sportswear brand to the epitome of sophistication. The digital age brought new opportunities. In 2007, Lacoste launched its e-commerce site for the US market. By 2009, the company had embraced celebrity brand ambassadors. Tennis star Novak Djokovic was crowned the new crocodile in 2017, a nod to his René-like tenacity and audacity on the court. This 5-year partnership dramatically increased the brand's global visibility. In 2019, Lacoste appointed Chinese singer and actor Zi Tao as their spokesperson for the Asia-Pacific region, their first regional ambassador signaling the brand's growing focus on Asian markets. The company's need to make the brand famous to continue its business at all costs hasn't left it without a few controversies. Lacoste faced several criticisms for continuing its business operations in Russia after the attack on Ukraine in 2022, disappointing fans and drawing condemnation from human rights organizations. In 2011, Lacoste was named alongside other major fashion brands in the Dirty Laundry report, accused of contributing to pollution in China's Yangtze and Pearl rivers through its suppliers. More recently, the company has also been accused of allegedly being connected to forced human labor of the Uyghur people in Xinjiang, China. But there's hardly any business without its flaws. And while nothing justifies the company's actions, we cannot overlook some of its positive contributions. In 2012, Lacoste underwent a major shift when it was acquired by Maus Frères SA for €1 billion, equivalent to $1.3 billion. Under new ownership, the brand continued to expand and reinvent itself while holding on to its rich tennis heritage. Lacoste founded the René Lacoste Foundation, a community program designed to help underprivileged children and those with disabilities access sports education and support their social and professional integration. In 2022, the brand partnered with Minecraft to create a new apparel series called Lacoste and Minecraft, featuring pixelated versions of the iconic crocodile on polos, hoodies, and t-shirts. The brand continues to evolve. In 2023, Pelagia Kolotouros became Lacoste's creative design director, with French tennis player Arthur Fils signing on as brand ambassador. The following year saw French actor Pierre Ninet and Chinese multi-talent Wang Yibo appointed as global ambassadors, extending the crocodile's reach across continents and cultures. From nickname to global brand, Lacoste truly has the bite to match its bark. A joke stitched into history, a crocodile that refused to let go. And today, a brand that's worth billions. Not bad for a bet on a suitcase. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.